Now, I want to explain. You have to be careful who you watch, because even though YouTube's has an algorithm that's going to bring me a lot of stuff that um, is relevant and truthful, it's also going to bring stuff that isn't, and this would be stuff I wouldn't watch. Okay, so even though it's talking about Matt Gaetz to Pam Bondi, our new future Attorney General from the looks of it, and who Trump's picked as hedge fund exec, as Treasury, Scott Bessent as our Treasury Secretary. I mean, as a Wall Street guy, if ever, but they're going to be sort of, giving you there's the oligarchy puppeteers sort of type of program that they want you to watch, and so you're going to form an opinion by watching this that puts her in a good light, and Republicans are learning, and this guy's, he's got some good experience as a hedge fund guy. They're going to give you that spin, and hedge funds are arguably one of the worst things that's ever happened to our country. I mean, just like the I don't know, big money is terrible, and that's I'm aware that I watch a lot of stuff about big money, if you will, and like Blackstone, BlackRock. I mean, investigate any of that stuff, all your big banks, how they, even if you go back to history, it's pretty, I mean, you realize the biggest banks are sort of representative. Name the big ones. One might be Exxon, one might be Mobil, they are. I mean, central bank, the Fed, it's all interconnected, and those are the banks that are sort of running the economy. When they say too big to fail, yeah, because when they fail, we don't have a country, and the world's kind of failing too, because it's all based on the dollar, a lot of it. So yeah, it's beat up classical guitar. So I was more like, disinformation is something we all have to be aware of. So when you go down any of these rabbit holes that I go down, I might even watch some of these, but you have to be open-minded, man. I mean, you have to look for, okay, they're trying to feed you some sort of narrative, and that's more the case than not. So I do rely on YouTube's algorithms. I keep giving them a thumbs up because I do get a lot of good stuff, and it seems to be interrelated. But sometimes, AI isn't perfect, I guess. I'll get stuff, and I'll have to, I'll watch it for a minute or two, and then I realize, oh wait, that's sort of towing their party line or whatever their their incentive for giving you this information in the first place. You can't, pretty much mainstream news is dead. I mean, if you want to find out anything of real substance, you have to go to independent media. There is no real news. Even on a lot of the major newspapers, it's always going to have sort of sway a certain direction that's going to be favorable to the corporate elite and what have you. So you really got to kind of, go into, I use YouTube. I'm sure there's other ways, other places. I pretty much, probably because I'm lazy, but it also seems to be a pretty good source of finding real news. Like, if you're interested in what's going on with the genocide, and you're interested in what's really behind all that, and who's really behind all that, you can find it on YouTube. Funny enough, which they must be getting enormous amount of scrutiny by the power elite, by the military industrial machine, by all the corrupt politicians. I mean, there's organized crime. All these guys want you not to know the truth first off. They want to manipulate you in the way, and I'm talking you, me, every citizen of this country, if not the world, to do their, to sort of buy into what they're selling here in the United States. That's for sure. So, I can speak firsthand that, I wasn't aware, even of the 2014 massacre. I probably heard it, but it probably wasn't even mentioned on mainstream news. I can't say for sure, There's certainly, we have a sort of Zionist imperative in our Congress that, we look the other way when it comes to genocide. And we start wars. And that's okay too. So I just keep harping on the same old things probably. I realize I do. And, this particular episode right here is just, I'm about ready to go. Like I said, it's just a few minutes later from my last one. So there's no real, in this case, usually I have something in mind, and usually something pops in my mind that I really want to, touch upon. It's always the same thing in my mind right now, which is the genocide. Okay, I could get genocide. Somebody committing genocide. Oh, little kids are, being blown up to smithereens. Families are being blown up to smithereens. There isn't a person in Gaza that doesn't have many family members or many friends and neighbors that are just dead, and if not dead, they're in very bad shape, with limbs blown off, and then they don't have anything to eat, try to recover with either, because they're all being starved to death, and it's despicable. And I watched the ICC. If you watch it all, the news at all, at least that's in the mainstream news, that Benjamin Netanyahu and some of his cronies, mainly his recently fired defense minister, to forget his name, if they go into Europe, they'll be arrested, so it sort of at least limits Netanyahu's sort of travel options. If he goes to the United States, he'll be embraced, Donald Trump probably get down on one knee, or something, show his respect. But it's, when I watch stuff about the ICC, which is the International Crime Court, I think, or something like that, it's definitely the court for that was put together for terrorists, for international terrorists. But when it was set up more or less by America, I think, or certainly of its influence, to go after all the, bad guys in Africa or the Middle East. Or it was a tool for the United States to, target this guy as a terrorist, or this guy as a terrorist, and this guy as a terrorist. Now he's an international. He's wanted by the ICC, which is, represented in the free world, if you will. And I remember back in 20 years ago when, I don't know if it was that or something similar, when we went, this is the first time we wouldn't join this thing, to go after war criminals. And, because, I wasn't even pointing out back then, because by definition, this is back in those days, Bush is a war criminal, Cheney's a war criminal, are all war criminals. And that's what they are. That's what they were then, that's what they are now. And so it really bothers me, and I'm going to end it on this, because I'm a pretty, I'm a fair weather fan, but I like the Boston Celtics. I've been following them for decades and decades. And, they recently went to yesterday or 2 days ago, to the White House. And, we have lame duck Joe Biden greeting them. And, I found it kind of repulsive. I know that they're sort of maybe obligated, we're all puppets, they're puppets. They have to play by the NBA sort of rules and conditions. And you got, I hate to say it, probably some Zionist shit going down there. You certainly went and met a Zionist leader, Boston Celtics. So you met a war criminal. He might be a bumbling little old man now, but he's guilty as charged. And the ICC, if you don't think in their eyes that Netanyahu, which they've now convicted as, albeit, him being in a remote place, as a war criminal to be arrested. If you don't think that they think that Joe Biden is like, attached to the hip of that dude and should also be declared a war criminal. And members of the administration would have to think again. They just can't. Because, the United States literally is above the law. They don't have to play by the rules like we do. Or even other countries do. So the ICC has backfired on the United States because it was meant to be a tool of the United States to go after people they don't like and declare them as terrorists. They even did one against Putin, which everybody went along with, but then later came up that what they were accusing him to make him a war criminal, Putin didn't even it was all lies. It was fair. I mean, you would think you'd be able to find stuff on Putin, and certainly Putin is by far and away not a nice guy at all. I'm not endorsing the dude. I think he's a terrorist as well. And I think there's plenty of stuff to support that case. Certainly, I'm not going to get into Putin. But Putin's here and Cheney's up there, okay, for example, or Bush, or any of those. Yeah, it's a contest, and we're winning the terrorist contest for sure. So Putin has been declared international war criminal by the ICC, just under fabricated reasons. That's all. It would have to do with sex trafficking and this and that, and then that's later been proved to be a lie. Okay, so you would think with a guy like Putin, you're going to find enough. I'm not trying to give the guy, credit anywhere, but they did kind of set him up. In that, I think they could have maybe found some other things that were really war crimes are being committed. You can find them, however, if you really want, pretty easily with our cast and crew. So our last bunch of presidents are all Obama. Sorry, man, charismatic guy, but you did nothing good over there, and by definition, you're a war criminal, and you know it. All these people know. They know that. By definition, what they did is subject to arrest if the ICC had any teeth to it. The problem is it doesn't. If nothing else, this episode is about the ICC. You can research the living heck out of that one. You can research, Netanyahu's Benjamin Netanyahu, which hopefully you would know that he's the basically leader of Israel and has been for some time. And, he's committing genocide and openly, and the Israeli people are all behind it. I won't say they're all behind it. You hope the American people are duped, but the Israeli people are 100% brainwashed. There's no question about that. So if you're going to give the general Israeli population, any, excuse, then, which is really no excuse, but, it's because they're all duped. They're all, from the moment they come out of the womb, they're on a path towards being exactly who they are right now, all right, and believing everything that they believe right now, and it's all lies. Okay, so if you're living in a lying environment from the time you're born to your whatever age you are right now, whatever stage of brainwashing that you've been subject to of being an Israeli citizen. And then just if you watch their behavior, that's sort of the result of that, where it's so unbelievably hostile and uncaring and immoral, and it's all, their dream in Israel is to get it, we get a nice house in the country. They want a nice house in, the West Bank, which, is occupied, and so, okay, we have kill some Palestinians. They even go in there under the skies and yeah, honey, how about we build here? So, and that's real life shit. They demolish these neighborhoods with that in Palestine right now, old historical, not to mention residential dwellings with people in them, demolish them to the ground, and there's a few survivors that have managed to live, and can you imagine that on a daily basis? What just live in that environment that we just look the other way on right now, including me and you. I mean, I'm trying to not look the other way by doing it. I'm going to post these. I don't know how to go forward. You know, I think this is, what am I on now? I'm on number 12. I've done 12 videos like this. Wake up and smell the roses. I probably should be reminding you, but let's end it. People dying, people dying, people dying. And we just look the other way. Yeah, people dying, people dying. My good old USA. So, let's wake up, America. Let's get together. Anybody who cares about the world at all, cares about your life at all, cares about other people's lives at all, you gotta start being an activist, man. We gotta all start being activists. Enjoy.